Knox Game Design, September 2021. Distributing your game.
Welcome everyone to Knox Game Design for September 2021. So my name is Levi Smith. This month I'm going to be talking about distributing your game. So thought about starting out with a little bit of a history lesson this month. So back in my day, this is what we had. We didn't have the internet access. So whenever we needed to distribute a game, we used physical media. So this is the oldest disc that I could find is a 5 1/4 disc. Looks like this. It is. I guess this is kind of showing my age, but a lot of people probably, I don't know, kids these days probably haven't even seen a 5 1/4 disc. But I remember using these in like elementary school. They'd have Oregon Trail. You'd play half the game on one side, then you'd take it out of the disc drive and you'd flip it over, and you could play the second half of the game on the back side. But yeah, this is Calendar Creator Plus. So I never really distributed any games using these. By the time I got my first 386 PC, I was already in high school. And the first discs that I really used were the 3 1/2 inch discs. It looked like this. And when you stuck it in the disc drive, this little metal piece would slip over like that, exposing the magnetic disc behind it. Most of these, I don't think you could ever like flip these over and put it in the backside like the 5 1/4 disc. But yeah, I used a lot of these. I think, not sure. These were definitely, the 5 1/4 were less than a megabyte. Can't remember off the top of my head the capacity. But I know the 3 1/2 disc were, I think, 1.44 megabytes. So roughly less than 1.5 megabytes. So you wouldn't believe it, but I was able to put a lot on one disc. Now, if you went out and bought a game, remember like SimCity 2000 came on 2 of these discs. Wing Commander, I think, was on one. I know Wolfenstein 3D came on 1 disc. So, I don't know. It's hard to believe that they could fit all of a game on just less than 2 megabytes. I know like Windows, to install Windows, it had like 6 or 7 discs, Windows 3.1. So you put in a disk and then it'd install, then you take it out. Then it'd prompt you put in the second disk, so you put in the second disk and all the way until you're finished with all the disks. So typically you wouldn't play your games off these. You wouldn't install it into your hard drive. And I remember my first hard drive was, I think, 80 megabytes. And I think that drive went bad and I got it replaced with one with 100 megabytes. So that's what we were dealing with back in the 90s. The next type of disc that I started using, I think I was just starting college, maybe a senior in high school, around 97, 98, 99, is the zip disk. I think these were created by iOmega. I actually have my zip drive. I actually bought 2 zip drives. I think one went bad. I think the zip drive cost about $100, but this one still works. Used a, I believe it's parallel. Used a parallel port adapter to connect to your PC. So just stuck the disc in the front. Now this little clear part kind of went in right there, collapsed in, but it still works. Last time I tried, I let somebody borrow this a few years ago, and they said they were able to copy their files off their old zip disk. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't use this anymore today, aside from getting old zip disk off of there, getting the data off old zip disk, and moving it on to some other media. But I think there's also a Jazz drive, also created by iOmega. I think it might have been 20 megabytes. But back in the day, going from this, a little bit over 1 megabyte, to 100 is pretty miraculous. But the only downside is most PCs didn't come with a zip drive installed. So it's kind of a niche type thing. Not a lot of zip drives out there. So most people jumped from the 3.5 or 3.5-inch disc to the CDRs, and these were 700 megabytes. So one of these equals approximately 700 of these. Now I know over the years they changed the definition of gigabyte and megabyte, and I think it depends on whether you're using a big B or a little b. It used to be, when I was growing up, 1024 megabytes equaled 1 gigabyte, but now I think they just changed it to 1,000 megabytes equals a gigabyte, or maybe the difference between the small b and the big B. But yeah, they had different formats, I believe. For these, there's like the CD-R, and then the CD plus R, and then the CD plus or minus R, then the rewritable CD, CD plus or minus RW. Those are the ones that you could read write. But still, I remember my first CD burner, it didn't do rewriting or anything, but it took a little while to come out. And then I remember the original CDs, there were like 8X and 6X. I think 8X was the best, but there was like 2X, 4X, 6X, 8X for the speed of the read and writing of your CDs. Yeah, this one's actually 52X. Or you could use these as a music, directly for music, so you could put it in a music player, CD music player, but you would only get, like for this one, 80 minutes. So you could put a lot more songs on these if you put them on as MP3s and played them as MP3s. It's I don't know. It's a magnitude of how many more songs you could put on here as MP3 rather than using it as an audio disc. And then finally, these don't have any writing on them, but these are DVDs. I think, yeah, DVDs was approximately, I think, 6 of the CDs. So the leap from going from 3.5-inch disc to equal 700 of these, the leap wasn't as big going from the CDs to the DVDs. But you can still put like 6 times as much on one of these than one of those. And then finally, seems like I'm forgetting, I think there might have been some other types of media in between, but I think the last one that most people use these days is the flash drive. There's thumb drives. This one is a SanDisk, 128 gigabytes right there. You just plug these into your USB drive right there. So this is, I guess, what most people use today for transferring data in a physical form. But yeah, one of these, I guess, about 10, 12 times for 128, about 12 times or so the capacity of a DVD. But of course, you can get these in 32 gigabytes, 64 gigabytes. This one's 128. But yeah, if you're looking for distributing your game on a physical media, you may want to use, and you probably don't want to use any of these older formats, but the downside to using a flash drive is that it is sort of the cost. Even for the smallest flash drive, you're probably going to pay $10 to $20. So that's a little bit costly just to hand out to your friends. But if you got the money, I mean, it could be worth it. So that's all the physical media for distributing your game. Now I'm going to talk about the digital formats, the online formats here. So there's a few different. So first of all, you can always host your game on your own website. If you do have a web account, you can always just I use FileZilla. It's a nice program. So a lot of web hosts will let you connect directly to your file share. So if you have a website, you can upload your game files directly to your website. I'm not going to go through all that, but you can connect through SFTP. Not going to go through how to set all that up, but that's always an option. Now, your web host may limit you on how much file space you have or bandwidth that you have. So if you do have a very popular game, you could run out of either Well, you could definitely run out of bandwidth if you have everybody trying to come download your game at the same time. But here's a few sites that I've used throughout the years of developing games. I guess like starting back in 2013 is when I really started using these sites. So the first one is itch.io. I think it's probably one of the more popular ones out there. Now, I will say this is a great site for hosting your game. I don't think they have really any limits on file size for a project or for all of your projects. I think they do have individual limits for a single project. But as far as I can tell, I've got, I don't know, nearly 100 games on here, and I haven't been limited yet. But it's pretty easy. You sign up for an account, and you go into your dashboard and you just press create new projects. And I was thinking, I don't know if anybody else has really done a tutorial on how to like upload your game. So somebody probably has, but I'll go through it here anyway. It's pretty simple. You give your game a title. The URL you want to use is going to be off of your sort of like subdomain right here. So you just specify what URL you want and give it a tagline. Like a lot of this stuff, you want to make sure it's a game if it's a game. Got to tell if it's downloadable or HTML or Flash or app. And then you pick whether it's released or in development and how much you want to charge for the game, so yeah, you can charge for the game. Most of the times I just leave it at $0 and leave the suggested donation as $2. But you can change that to make it paid. I do have one paid game, the TTY GFX Adventure, since I spent a lot of time on it. But it's still just $1. So you put in a description for your game, a genre, and store links. You can link it to other marketplaces, things like that. So you enter all that and you upload some screenshots, and it has optionally you can put a video trailer. Don't forget to put a image, like a cover box image for your game right there, and then you submit it, and they'll come back in a draft state, and then if it looks good, you can then flip it over to make it live. Which I did want to mention that there is an itch app that you can download, and it's pretty nice to manage your games and to download games and things like that. Not sure why it's not showing all my creations. Yeah, so here's all my games on itch right now, so you can like sort them by downloads and dates released and purchases and things like that. Yeah, so one nice thing about itch is if you install that app, then it comes with this tool called Butler, and it's a way to automate builds or upload builds using command line. So if you go to the itch website and you just look up Docs Butler, then it shows how to actually use this tool, which is pretty nice. Nice, fast way to be able to upload your files without going through the web interface, and it automatically tags it whether it needs to be like OS X or Windows or Linux. So I actually developed the tool. Now here's Butler right here from the command line right here. So you basically give it like your itch account name and the location of your file and the tags and things like that. So I actually created tools, the Unity build tool right here. And actually get this on my GitHub. Just go to github.com/Levi D. Smith and look up Unity Helper. Should be right here on the front, Unity Helper. But you can download this and run this, and you got to configure it for your site using the config file. But I do have it where you can like create builds for Windows, Mac, Linux, and WebGL, and make the zip file. So that's kind of handy if you're making a build for GameJolt, which requires your project files to be in zip format. You can have it automatically generate the zip files for you. Then you just click open build folder, and it'll open the build folder for your project. So this basically just scans a directory for Unity projects and builds them for you. But yeah, it does have like call upload script right here.
Job's done.
Actually, yeah, it says job's done when it's finished. But yeah, this will use that Butler tool to upload your game files. So I use this quite a bit during game jams. It makes like building and packaging your files really easy. So yeah, I'll probably put more work into this soon. It's been kind of a work in progress. It actually tells you if any of your games are out of date, and if it's using Playmaker and Playmaker's out of date, and things like that. So it's just a fast way to build multiple files and then upload them to itch using that Butler tool. Now, the first one that I think I used even before itch.io is GameJolt, which is a nice site. Okay, from your main page on GameJolt, you can click View All, then Add Your Game. It's kind of hard to find. But, yeah, always usually just do complete, stable. You give it a title, a URL. I think I actually got to put something in here. My new game, testing. Website's optional. You click Save and Next. Then you pick the tool you use, like if you're doing Unity. Click that right there. Then you got all these little items you got to go through over here. So you give it a description. Save and Next. And you can upload a header for your game. And then you can add screenshots right here, or videos, or sketch fabs. And here's where you upload your packages. So my new game, okay, that's good. Add package. So you have to add a package before you can actually add like builds. So you can go in here in your or they call it releases. So you can have multiple releases for a package. So here's where you browse for your game file. So typically they're going to be like in a zip file. So you upload that, then it's going to start uploading. I'm not going to show that, but after it's finished uploading, you can either pick like Windows, Mac, or Linux, and then or you can do a browser build right there. So I'm not going to save that. It's got some other options like maturity. Is it for all audiences or teens or mature content? And they used to have a place where you'd upload like a soundtrack and things like that. One that I used to use was Kongregate. I just wanted to mention this, but I was a little bit disappointed. I checked it out tonight, and I clicked on About and Upload Your Game. And then it's like, sorry, we're no longer accepting new games. So I don't know what happened to Kongregate. I think they got bought out a long time ago by GameStop, maybe. But they do have a publishing program, so I don't know anything about the publishing program. Yeah, Cartridge with a K. So yeah, I haven't looked into any of this. But yeah, Kongregate was okay, but I think they only did web games, but you could do Unity. Another one that I've used before is Newgrounds, and they made their name off Flash games, so I think they eventually started accepting Unity games as well. So you can click on new from your main dashboard and click on new project, create a new game, fill out the title, description, and upload your game files like a Flash game, SWF, or HTML5 archive and zip up to 1,000 megabytes. So yeah, really haven't uploaded too many. I had a couple of stencil games that I uploaded to Newgrounds back in 2014. I really haven't used that. Now, one that I've used quite a bit is the Microsoft Windows and Xbox game marketplace. And here's what my dashboard looks like. I don't think there's anything super sensitive on here, but yeah, by far my most successful game was Kitty's Adventure for Xbox One. Now, the reason I put it as for Xbox One, I wasn't trying to do like SEO or anything like that, is just because I wanted to keep it separate from the Kitty's Adventure that I already had for Windows, so I could track the stats separately. So yeah, I had like over 58,000 acquisitions, but it was a free game for the Xbox One using the Xbox Creator Program. So that was pretty nice. I'm not sure if the Xbox Creators Program is still open or not. It's been a while since I published anything using it, but it looks like people are still downloading it and still rating it. I had a couple other games just for Windows like Minesweep and Turn Back the Clocks. I did put that on Xbox One, but it only had 1,000 acquisitions. Wasn't as popular. But the thing about the Kitty's Adventure was I was like the first one with a Unity game on there, so I think that made a big difference. But yeah, here's some other ones out of Starlight like Delivery Kit and Text Woman and all that. Another place is the Google Play. I only had 2 games on here. Haven't updated. Like one of these is my Monster Hotel was removed because I hadn't updated it. I think it looks like Minesweep is still out there actually. 5 users. So yeah, but I only use Google Play for distributing my games to Android. Another option, the Humble Bundle, they had specifically had like the Humble Dashboard or Humble Store. So even if you're not specifically in a Humble Bundle, they do have a way you can actually sell your game through your website. So just sign up for this. And I have my TTY GFX Adventure game that I put up there. I'm not going to click on this because it actually shows like emails of the people who bought your game. So I think that's pretty neat that you can actually contact the people who bought your game using the Humble Dashboard. So you can actually contact your users, which is pretty nice. But you'll give you a little widget right here so you can put it on your website. It has your name of your game and the icon, so you can just like pay directly through this little widget on your website, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for September 2021. Yeah, it's kind of a quick talk, but I did want to get something out for September for this month. Next month I'll probably do Ludum Dare 49 recap or look at the games that were created, see if we have any games created in the Knox area for Ludum Dare 49. I did post in the Knox Game Design Discord. Let me know if anybody has interest in doing a get-together. Haven't decided on a location or anything like that yet, but I know it does start 3 hours earlier for this one in October, so it'll be coming up pretty soon, I think in less than 2 weeks. So I'm looking forward to doing that, making a game in 48 hours and checking out everybody else's games. So going to wrap it up for September 2021. Thanks everyone for listening and watching.